I'm Kevin Costner, stroke Rip, the kind of the butch, always wears a hat guy. That's me. Is this a swearing podcast? Is this a swearing?
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
swear as much as you
You
want.
can say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, cool. I would rather be the chicken that my dog ate than the chicken that someone ate at KFC. You're short, you're pathetic, what a loser, you should be taught. Everything that I'm doing is stuff that I really do need to be doing anyway and want to be doing.
Hello, this is Der Heilige Stuhl, the podcast with Alex and Jörn. And with us today is the first recurring guest ever, semi-retired duck pond champion and now goat to his goat and entertainer extraordinaire, Mark Lewis is here. Hey, Mark. Hey, Alex.
Hello, how you doing?
Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's raining. It's getting darker outside. It's cold.
Thanks.
Everything is fine.
Yeah,
Everything is German.
Alex, get off the podcast. That's the most miserable introduction I've ever heard. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm
slit my wrist immediately.
So everything is screwed outside in the podcast as well. And I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna somehow try to bring it back and ask Mark Lewis a positive question. Mark, what would you say is the most positive surprise you had since your life changed 180 degrees since you moved out of town into the green? Positive.
The only reason it's hard to answer is because it's just been an absolute tidal wave of positive. It's hard to say this is the thing. I suppose just how much. In fact, that probably sums it up. The most positive thing is I've been surprised by just how everything has been so good. That's probably the best. It's hard to pick out any one thing because I wake up every day and my life at the moment at least is as an example, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't change very much other than I would go and buy a more expensive digger and a bigger tractor. I'd basically enhance what I already have. I wouldn't change very much at all. I'm not sure if that's a good kind of metaphor or not, or even if metaphor is the right word. Doesn't matter. I'm very happy, and hopefully that cheers things up more than Alex dragged things down.
Excellent. And what's your favorite tool to use? Do you prefer the digger or the wood chopper or chainsaw?
Oh well, it's a constant change because every time I get a new toy, then that becomes the coolest new toy. So yeah, on day one it was a chainsaw, then it became the bigger chainsaw, then it was a little wood chipper, then I got a massive wood chipper. I suppose actually the best toy is my truck. I have a truck. I say I have a truck. It's my wife's truck, but she bought it for me, so it's kind of mine. And I'm from a city in the UK where driving a truck would be stupid, too big for the roads, just impractical. You'd never have one. It just makes no sense. Where I live now, it makes perfect sense, and so it's not only a toy. I also have perfect justification for having it. So I don't feel like an idiot using it. I actually feel like I'm straight out of a kind of American Yellowstone, that kind of thing. I don't know if you guys even get. Do you get Yellowstone in Germany?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nonsense.
You're the Kevin Costner character.
I'm Kevin Costner, stroke Rip, the kind of the butch, always wears a hat guy. That's me. Yeah.
Yes, I can definitely see that.
So truck. I recommend. In fact, I like the truck so much that if I moved back, I can't imagine I ever would. It would be horrific. But if I moved back to living in the city, I would do everything I possibly could to still drive a truck. even though it would then be ridiculous. I would feel an idiot. It is such a good thing to drive that I would take the truck with me.
But essentially, it's so big you wouldn't see their faces.
No, I mean, I actually, funny enough, I was in a city with it the other day. We went away for a weekend, and so I was driving it around a regular city, and it's too big for car parks, and it doesn't fit on the roads, and when you get cars are parked either side, it doesn't fit down streets. It's just stupid in every sense, but it's also still just amazing. It's just a truck, isn't it? It's just it's almost like, and also I drive it quite slow, which is quite a strange thing because I've always driven ridiculously, stupidly fast and had fast cars. The truck is actually a fast truck, but because it's big and powerful, every time I kind of drive into town with it, I feel like a cowboy. I mean, it is the kind of the modern horse. I feel like a cowboy sort of wandering into the high street, parking my horse in front of the saloon. So I drive very slowly with kind of Clint Eastwood vibes in my head. I hope I'm selling the truck. If Ford want to sponsor me, that would be amazing.
What do you mean me? It's our podcast. At least we should get commission.
Hey, this is Jörn from the Off. I just want to add, Ford, you're making fantastic cars. We absolutely love you. And can we please have our sponsorship money now?
I'll send you a Ford baseball cap.
Actually, my friend has a Ford dealership. So Björn, if you're listening,
yes, absolutely. I need another Ford Raptor just in case this one breaks.
Yes. Actually, it's a nice car, Ford Raptor.
It is. Well, it is a nice car. I mean, I don't want to talk about cars too much because a lot of people find cars very boring. Actually, as trucks go, it's a bit stupid because the trouble with the Ford Raptor, this is going to turn to Top Gear now, but the trouble with the Ford Raptor is that unlike the Ford Ranger, on which it's based, the Ford Ranger is the regular truck, it has fancy pants suspension, which allows it to do 100 miles an hour across the sand dunes, but it means it doesn't have the same load capacity as a regular Ford Ranger. It can't tow as much as a regular Ford Ranger. And in the UK, because of those limitations, it doesn't qualify for the tax breaks of a commercial vehicle. So basically, it doesn't do all the things that trucks are useful at doing or be tax efficient. So as trucks go, in the truck world, it is a good example is it's like a bunch of athletes, like kind of runners and soccer players or something. And then you have the kind of the big lumbering bodybuilder who is a complete one-trick pony and gets out of breath if he has to, jog to his protein shake or something. But he looks that way, whether you like that look or not. That's his one-trick pony skill. That's the Ford Raptor. It's a kind of a steroid-riddled bodybuilder at a track meet.
And what I would like to
Ford are not going to sponsor me at all, are they? That's a terrible
no,
it's I've blown it completely. Yeah.
Maybe I should do an introduction in Japanese for Toyota, basically.
Yeah, the Hilux I hear is amazing.
Yeah,
yes.
They're all sold out due to conflicts all over the world, I think.
Probably
Yes.
that's more a topic for a Ukraine podcast. What interests
the
me
terrorist
actually,
truck of choice.
Mark, is you basically, in my experience, there are two kind of persons. The one person is basically goes out and buys a tech gear and then finds out what it can do, and the other guy basically reads up on it before, knows everything about it, and then buys it. So what type are you? Would you say you buy the truck and then you find out it's pretty cool, or the other way around?
No, I do like to research, but my research is incredibly shallow. So I will spend a lot of time looking at very small amounts of, for example, with the Ford Raptor, I watched a lot of in-depth Raptor videos that might be 20 minutes long, but I'd only watch the first minute where the guy's going, "This is really cool." And I'd go, that's enough for me. And I'd then watch another video where somebody else would say, this is really cool. That's enough for me. And I'd amass a huge amount of very small bits of information that all contributed towards me thinking this is very cool. And that's enough for me. And I then go and buy it. Having obtained it, I then never bother to learn anything else about it again. So that the truck, which is nice because it's always surprising me. Like I found a cup holder in it the other day that I didn't even know it had. Now, had I watched some of those reviews properly, they'd have probably mentioned the cup holder at some point. But it would have been 19 minutes in. I never got to the cup holders. So yeah, I skim a huge amount of content and use that to which actually is kind of like how everyone kind of gets their information on anything, isn't it? I mean, that's the problem with society.
Basically, it's the same for your videos, I imagine, as well as our podcast, right? Most people just screen through the first 5 minutes and then, I'll probably listen to it later.
Yeah, well, indeed. One of the things that annoys me immensely is as a long-form content creator maker, it annoys me that people just want to have your content just kind of ripped down into little kind of reels and shorts and TikToks and all that rubbish. I mean, I hate that, but actually that's how I consume content myself. I must have watched 1,000 shorts on Ford Raptors. And somewhere out there, some poor chap has made a half-hour-long, documentary on a Ford Raptor that I've never seen. I might have seen it in bits. So yeah, I get my content the way 14-year-olds get their information on, misogyny, whatever 14-year-olds are researching lately.
Probably, well, you're talking about TikTok then, I guess. So
TikTok and Facebook, and all of that rubbish. Because, of course, the thing now is you mentioned Ford Raptor or any truck. The next day, your feed is then just full of trucks. So you almost can't avoid it. I mean, you mention it over dinner. Your phone isn't even present. Somehow, that the next morning, you'll wake up and your Instagram reel would just be whatever you were talking about the night before. So
I imagine our viewers and listeners will have the same experience after watching the first 15 minutes here.
Yeah, they're going to be absolutely bombarded by trucks and nothing else. Yeah,
probably. Alex, do you want to ask a question before?
I indeed have a question. I have two questions. First question regarding your sheep. You told that there are pets.
Yes.
You will have to share them? I think. Don't you?
No.
No.
Do you know, actually, something that no. To kind of go back a step, my position on my animals, I am plant-based with my diet. I don't, and the reason it's a little bit complicated because I was vegan, but not kind of completely. And so now I just kind of forego any label. I simply do what every other human being on earth does, which is I eat what I want to eat. It just so happens that I don't want to eat animals, but I don't care what anyone else does. So it's very hard to kind of argue against my position because I don't. Is this a swearing podcast? Is this a swearing?
Yeah, absolutely.
As much as you want.
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, cool. So I don't care what other people do. Which is why I get very angry when people have a go. They kind of say, "Oh, no wonder you're whatever out of shape. You should be eating animals." It's like, hey, go fuck yourself. Unbelievable. Tell me, and my mother doesn't tell me what to eat anymore. I'm certainly not a complete stranger on the internet telling me what to eat. So I don't eat animals. And the reason I don't eat animals mainly is because of factory farming. So if I lived in Montana, I could go out with a bow and arrow, kind of Joe Rogan style, and shoot an elk. I might, I don't know, I might consider it. I'm not entirely convinced, but I'd certainly rather do that than eat, for example, a chicken that's spent the few months of its life with 15,000 other chickens in a big barn, getting its feathers pecked off it by the other chickens that are in too close proximity to it, and then comes out of it looking like a piece of shit, not an animal. So I want nothing to do with factory farming. That's why I don't eat animals. Therefore, I don't eat my animals. Now, a lot of people get very confused. They go, well, hang on a minute, that's vegan. Right? It's not really, because a vegan probably wouldn't have the animals I have because they wouldn't even commoditize the animals the way I do. So, for example, I eat my chicken's eggs. My sheep are put to work on my grass to keep them. They're basically lawnmowers. So I'm using animals the way a vegan wouldn't, which again is fine. I don't mind what vegans do either. So yeah, they're all pets. And the important thing to us when we got them was that they would have a role. We didn't want just animals for the hell of it. So the sheep eat the grass, the pigs turn over the brambles in the woods, the goats, again, brambles and bracken, and they kind of clear. Because one of the problems we have in the UK is that we have no large animals left. So I've got a few acres of woodland here. 10,000 years ago, there would have been bear and wolves and elk and all sorts of things wandering around. And they're all dead. I've got 8 squirrels and a badger here now. That's it.
Those monsters.
So, yeah. So everything goes wild. It's very, very hard to control things like brambles and nettles and stuff. In the past, animals would have trampled them down, and the bigger animals would have eaten the small tree saplings, so the trees don't get too densely packed. None of that exists anymore. So I'm trying to reintroduce animals to my land that will do a bit of that. You can't do it with wild animals because that's just not possible. I can't find any bear anyway for sale. So I'm doing it with pigs and goats and stuff. But it was important to us that the animals were as self-sufficient as possible. I don't like animals that humans have messed about with to the point that the animal is no longer able to exist as an animal. So, for example, those dogs with the caved-in faces that can't breathe properly.
Was my first thought.
Right, I don't like that. I mean, again, if you're a pug owner, do what you like. There's bigger problems in the world than me worrying about your pug. But it's not an animal I would have. I like that if my animal... Here's what I like. If all humans died tomorrow in some horrific virus, as long as my dogs weren't locked in...
Been there.
My dogs would be fine. They'd cope. They would hunt. They would eat squirrels. They'd have that badger immediately. So I like the idea that my animals can go back to being... They're never going to be a wolf, but they're much closer to a wolf than some pug that would have an asthma attack, if it got chased by a squirrel. So that's the same deal with the animals. So my sheep, and people think sheep have to be sheared. Okay, well, what were sheep doing 20,000 years ago when people weren't shearing them? Obviously, sheep didn't need to be sheared originally. The animals that sheep were bred from didn't need to be sheared. That would be a very weird animal that evolved to require a human to cut its hair. So what happened with sheep was that we bred them to produce way too much wool for wool and consequently have to shear them. Not my sheep. My sheep are an African breed, Cameroon sheep, and like a number of sheep, ancient sheep, we're also getting some Wiltshire Longhorn sheep. They simply shed their fur, the same as any of the animals that sheep derived from did. So at the moment, it's coming up to spring here. My sheep are kind of half shaggy and half not. They rub up against the trees and they get their hair off themselves. Again, if I let them out of their fence and there were no other humans on earth, they'd be fine. My sheep would live 20 years on their own, no bother. They could survive absolutely fine. My pigs would thrive if let out and left to their own devices. In fact, the only thing that would stop my animals making a go of it in the wild, if left alone, is humans annoying them. So I quite like that. My animals they're not completely self-sufficient because the very nature of fencing them in means I have to assist them with food and stuff. They're not allowed to forage over thousands of acres. But as much as possible, they're the way animals should be, able to look after themselves.
By the way, pigs, unrelated question. How much did that electric fence hurt when you touched it?
Well, funnily enough, no way near as much as I thought it was going to. And what was interesting was a lot of people said to me, well, you're a big baby. What you should have done was touched it with like wet hands and wet feet. And actually, they've got a point because that's the way an animal would touch it. Animals touching it with its wet nose, probably, standing with wet feet, and it gets a much bigger shock. And I thought, well, I'm not doing that because that sounds horrible. But then the other day, I've got another electric fence, and it runs up high at sort of chest height. It's to stop the goats jumping on the fence with their paws. hooves. Goats don't have paws. That's a bear I'm thinking of. Anyway, I
Still.
walked up to I walked up to the fence, and I went to look over the fence with wet hands, and I just kind of leant on the fence to look over it. And with soaking wet hands, I had trainers on that were soaking wet as well. That did give me a proper shock, and it was light years ahead of what I was getting with a pair of rubber boots on. It was, I mean, if I was a goat, I would not touch that again. It was, and because I used both hands, it really felt like the shock went through my chest. I thought I was going to kind of defibrillate myself. So the answer to your question, the original electric fence didn't hurt at all, but if you touch them with soaking wet hands and wet feet, it's a wallop.
I think traditionally you pee against it.
Yeah,
yeah, what was-
is not recommended. No.
No, I'm not doing that.
No, it's fine. Maybe just it's German content, basically. It's
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of German Takeshi's Castle,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I've been to Berlin a couple of times, and I can imagine there are probably clubs where you can go and do it.
Yeah. I also
yeah.
do not recommend the combination of electric fence and barbed wire, which I had the opportunity to run into on an orientation march by night. And the one thing is it hurts. And the other question is, are you on the good side or on the bad side of the fence when you find it at night on a field?
Fair enough. We're currently ripping out all the barbed wire. I mean, I understand the need for barbed wire, and in many ways, it kind of revolutionized how you looked after animals at a time when, especially in America, you would need cowboys to do stuff until you could just put barbed wire in over miles. But here, where we are, there's no need for it, so we're ripping it out. If I was an animal, I would rather get a whack off an electric fence
Yes.
that is instantaneous and then gone. I've seen what happens to animals when they get tangled up in barbed wire, and it's like it's like the end of the Great Escape. To throw in an English-German theme, where Steve McQueen gets tangled up in a barbed wire. I mean, he didn't enjoy that, so why would my sheep?
At least they cannot step into bear traps. At least not in England.
No, not anymore. They would have done. I mean, a few hundred years ago, they probably would have been.
We in Germany have plenty of wolves, by the way, which is a huge political debate here, to put it mildly, because sheep are getting eaten everywhere.
Yeah, they do get eaten everywhere. I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? The reason they get eaten everywhere is because there's so many of them, and the reason there's so many of them is because we've introduced so many of them. I mean, again, if all humans disappeared, there would end up being the appropriate number of sheep for the appropriate number of predators. It would just naturally sort itself out. But what we want to do is to have billions of sheep and then no wolves. I mean, it just doesn't work.
This might be an unpopular opinion when it comes to farmers, but that's just a guess.
It's fine.
Yeah.
The more we trigger, the better for the algorithm.
Yeah, but it's tricky. I mean, but farmers. I mean, the thing we have in the UK a lot is people are very passionate about supporting farmers, and believe that they're these kind of incredible patrons of the countryside, and that they're looking after the countryside. And in a way, it's true that without farming in the countryside, they would probably just sell it off for housing. So what they're doing is protecting the countryside from becoming housing, especially in the UK where there's not much space left. But what farmers are doing it's not keeping the countryside natural. What they're doing is the field next to me that's owned by the farmer is just a blank field full of sheep. That's as unnatural as a shopping centre. I mean, there's no trees, there's no diversity of anything. There's one crop, grass. There's one animal, sheep. There's no predators. So it's a strange balance. I mean, farmers are clearly have their role, but so if you're a farmer, don't quit on account of me. But yeah, what they're doing for the countryside and the environment isn't quite the same as some people think it is. Especially in the UK, you drive for the UK countryside, and the vision of the UK countryside is kind of bouncing sheep and lambs and stuff. And again, it is now, but it wasn't 10,000 years ago. It was forests and swamps and rivers and streams, and then we put 60 million people on it, and suddenly it looks like it now has to.
And how do the animals get along, actually? Because I imagine your dogs must have been shocked, right? I mean, suddenly there's a pig.
Yeah. I mean, the dogs were an interesting one. We got 2 dogs. We have an English Bull Terrier, and we have a Parson Russell Terrier, which is like a big Jack Russell. So the Parson Russell, his instinct is to kill anything. So he had to have.
Alex says the same thing.
And especially mood. I kill mood.
Yeah.
His instinct to kill was tricky. I mean, he actually killed one of our chickens early on. What's quite interesting about animals and dogs in particular in the countryside is that in the I'm not sure how it is in Germany, but in the UK there is a very, very strong push towards training your dogs with positive reinforcement only. You know, you don't tell them no. You certainly don't correct their behaviour. It's all about just positive. And for example, if you use kind of things like the Americans use, like prong collars and e-collars and this sort of stuff, you'll be hung, drawn, and quartered. But when you go to the countryside, you kind of realise that. Well, first of all, you see how farmers treat their dogs. Necessarily so, and farmers will talk about putting puppies in with one of their rams, or kind of even tying a puppy to a ram, and obviously the ram beats the shit out of the puppy, and the puppy learns don't fuck about with the sheep. If you go into a city centre dog training school and say, well, I'm going to tie my puppy to the thing it doesn't like, have the thing it doesn't like, kick the hell out of it, and the puppy will learn. They'd probably ask you not to come back. So we've had to kind of give up positive only training with the dogs, and really they need to learn that if they kill a chicken, that's a bad day for the dog as well. So that there was a learning period where that took place. But they've learned that, and now they're pretty cool. I mean, Nixon, the Parson Russell, will not eat the chickens. The pigs are too big for him to mess with. I mean, the pigs would if they wanted to kill him, so that's fine. And the sheep are interesting. The sheep kind of ignore him. He kind of ignores them, so he's okay. And the English Bull Terrier is a bizarre one, because the English Bull Terrier would rip apart another dog or strange human. He's very, very antisocial. He like me, he loves it here. But oddly, with animals, completely uninterested. He'll walk past a sheep like it's a tree. It just doesn't even register to him that it's even an animal. It's quite strange. He's had the cockerels come up and peck him, and so he's an odd one. He doesn't care for the animals at all. And the one that wants to kill them learned that he shouldn't kill them, because that's bad. That ends up with a smack.
Kids,
bottom.
there's a lesson in it for you.
I mean, it is funny how quickly animals. I mean, it is. Like I say, the way farmers train their dogs, or indeed treat their animals, is sometimes necessity just requires. More stick, less carrot. Not literally stick before someone starts complaining that I hit my dog with a stick.
Oh, we're way past that now.
I use an iron bar.
This will be an interesting comment section.
Yeah. So kind of, people break in here. They'll be rescuing my dogs and my sheep, and
all those Peter fucks.
You can already hear the helicopters.
Well, what's quite funny is that it is amusing, because we get grief for all sorts of things that when you step back, and for example, the dogs are a good example. Anybody that wants to kind of complain about telling off my dog for killing a chicken and therefore correlates that with therefore the dog has a sad life. Come and look at the life my dog has, where he is literally outside all day, non-stop, running around, jumping in rivers, and compare that to some poor, sorry state for a dog that never leaves an apartment that's owned by the person complaining about the way I treat my dog. My dog will put up with being told don't eat the chicken quite strictly in return for having the life he has here. He would not swap that for lots of treats instead, but never leave the house. He doesn't even go on a lead. It happens as well with the animals. People say, "Oh, it's electric fence." Funny enough, I had a lot of people say it's cruel. The electric fence is cruel, and again, I don't mind what people do with their diet. You can eat Labradors for all I care. I really don't care what other people do. But what you can't do
hot dog
is tell me that you can't say very well done. You can't say that my electric fence is cruel and then have a burger for tea. Make your mind up, because I guarantee you that, shooting the cow in the head with a bolt gun and slitting its throat and turning it into a burger is, if I was a cow, I would pick the electric fence over the bolt gun in the head, like if I was given a choice. So again, you can eat cows, of course you can. I don't care what you do, but don't eat a cow and then complain that my point
that escalated quickly.
people basically who would comment on killing the chicken part with the dog, basically then go about telling other humans don't eat the chicken. So basically, usually they do that with humans. What you do with the dog. Usually.
What's interesting, the chicken.
This goes very well with the vegan community here.
The dead chicken thing is an interesting one, because so my dead chicken that the dog ate. Well, I didn't eat. He just killed it. That chicken, the life that chicken. This is an interesting one, actually, because this is when people ask me about my diet and stuff. I like the idea of animals having an opportunity for life, a normal opportunity for life. So a lot of time people say, well, the anti-vegan argument is, well, don't you care about the mice in the field that get run over by the combine harvester and stuff? And if I was an animal and I was given a choice, and one choice was you could be a mouse and you live in a field, you're completely wild, you do what you like, but keep your eyes open because you might get driven over by a tractor. That's one option. Mouse, look out for tractor. The other option is be an animal that's born into a farm and destined at the age of X months old, be slaughtered for meat. I'll be the mouse, thanks, and I'll just keep my eyes open for the combine harvester. So for me, it's not about, does an animal ever find itself on the receiving end of a problem from man? It's just, does it get to have an opportunity to be a wild animal in the meantime? Which is why I don't care about people shooting elk in the forest, because that elk is having a cracking time until it's shot by Joe Rogan or whoever. So as opposed to the factory farmed animals. So my chicken that got ate by the dog had an amazing life here. It was a fit, healthy chicken. It looked like that. People think the chickens that they're eating look fit and healthy, but I guarantee you go to a farm with 50,000 chickens in a shed, they don't look like my chickens. And when that chicken died, it was alive 1 second and it was dead the next because the dog broke its neck. Most chickens that are getting slaughtered are being stuffed into a cage along with thousands of other chickens. And the process is horrific. So again, I would rather be the chicken that my dog ate than the chicken that someone ate at KFC. And if so
that's
again,
the title for the podcast right there.
So my biggest problem with people's diets is not what they eat; it's hypocrisy. That's the thing that gets me. I'd say you can eat humans if you like. I don't care. Don't just keep them. I just want the hypocrisy toned down.
For our African audience, maybe you can give some commentary on that. Basically, I mean, it's still the chicken theme, right?
Are you suggesting? What, I'm not quite sure what that. Yeah, I'm gonna gloss over the suggestion that I'm not sure what that theme was supposed to mean. Let's move on. So anyway, chickens.
My editor has to do something, right?
Yeah, well, he does now. Yeah, well, now you basically now just kind of said that yeah, what Africans are cannibals. I'm not quite sure what your accusation there was. Was that the? Did I misread that?
I think that's purely a speculation on that part.
I think you've been watching too many 1937 Tarzan movies.
But basically, maybe the next person I would ask is Michael Caine, and I think he did some kind of movie in that respect.
He did Zulu, yeah, indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I know.
Yes.
I mean, basically, I couldn't make that. I couldn't make that commentary to a German person. Actually, he wouldn't know.
Yeah,
what's
that's
being
yeah.
by the way, diet. I mentioned
Yeah.
in your I would say sort of. I like it that you drink a diet Coke while I ask you about diet.
Yeah, I'm addicted to Diet Coke. It's terrible.
I have the same issue with bitter lemon zero. Actually,
I thought you were going to say heroin.
yes, yeah, I would say that, but I won't sponsor this, basically the cast. Basically, all those things from getting the money to me from Mexico. Do you still get a lot of emails regarding your diet? Has it toned down since you basically moved? Because like your content somewhat changed a bit, right? So I imagine.
Yeah. I do. I mean, I don't. What's happened with my content? So basically, when I moved here, I had the fitness channel, and that was that. The plan was, and the reason I'm sat in my gym at the moment, which is the first time I've used it in about a week, to sit in. So the plan was to basically just carry on making fitness content, but at the same time, I also wanted to make lifestyle content about doing stuff outside. Excuse me. And I thought what I would do is I'd simply broaden what my fitness channel did. So my plan was I was going to do, 1 week I might do a video about, my shoulder workout, and the next week I might make a video about mowing my field or something. But I wasn't sure how that would work. I wasn't sure whether I would lose people. It just didn't seem like a good idea. I mean, what it felt like is Jeremy Clarkson still making Top Gear, but occasionally episodes would be about him farming, and that just made no sense. So I thought, no, I'll start a completely new channel, and do it separately. And that channel, it's not that that channel, which is called Lewis Life, it's not that channel is more interesting for me to make content about. It's just that the content that channel is about is the jobs I need to get done. So it lends itself to getting more of my time, because I think this week I need to do X project. If I had no requirement to work social media, I would still need to do that project. I do need to do social media, so I'll film it. That ends up on Lewis Life. So kind of like, what's there left to put on the fitness channel? Well, doing some exercise, but I don't have time because I'm doing all those projects. So the fitness channel has kind of wound down, and I'm now in the process of trying to sort of re-stimulate it back up again. I mean, what's interesting is that it still has a degree of pull because it's got 400,000 subscribers, and that puts me in front of sponsors and stuff like that. So weirdly, I can get sponsorship to make a video on my fitness channel very, very easily, and that's very profitable. But I don't necessarily want to or have time to make the content. So I kind of bounce between making a bit of content for the fitness channel, but then most of my time goes in the Lewis Life channel. As a result, I don't get as much feedback on the fitness side because I'm just not doing it. I'm not talking about my diet as much. What will be interesting is over the course of the summer, I'm going to be doing more of that content. And yeah, no doubt people will start rabbiting on about, what I eat or what I don't eat. Normally, it's not so much the specifics of what I eat. It's more about the way I eat. I have disordered eating. I eat the wrong things too much, out of control. There's some mental health issues that are kind of compounding that, I guess. Not in any kind of grand dramatic way. Simply that if you are someone who at 3 a.m. likes to eat chocolate when you're not actually hungry, there must be something going on upstairs to cause that. So I get a lot of that. I get a lot of, you're weak and you've got no willpower. Funny enough, my next video on the fitness channel is going to be, the title of it is The Big Fat Willpower Problem. Because I'm often told, you got no willpower, you got no mental strength. That's why you eat badly. You got no discipline. And I love that. I love the idea of that accusation because it's so just fucking stupid. And that's always a great accusation. When an accusation is stupid, it's always ripe for picking apart and making content about.
Yeah.
So that's my next video is on that. I love the idea that people still look at mental health or forget mental health. People look at mental or just the mind. They look at it so differently to anything physical. So, for example, somebody will look at me and they'll say, "Well, you're eating badly, so you got low self-discipline. It's pathetic. I don't do that. Why do you?" But if I saw somebody that was 5'6" and I'm 6'6", or in your terms, I'm 2 meters tall, I look at someone that's 1.5 meters tall, and they're in the supermarket and they're trying to get something off a high shelf. I would not say to that person, "You're pathetic. You got no height. You're useless. I don't have that problem. So why do you? You loser." I would simply think, well, that person simply can't do that. I can. Here's the Cocoa Pops or whatever they're reaching for. But yeah, with mental health, it's interesting. People say, "Well, you got no mental discipline." And I'll say, "Well, okay, I haven't. Then what are you saying? I should just conjure it up out of where? Out of my head. But you're telling me that I don't have it." So I love this idea that people kind of say, "Well, you haven't got it, therefore you're rubbish, and you should have it, but you don't." And there's no solution offered. And again, you're short, you're pathetic. What a loser! You should be tall. You wouldn't say that because it would be mad to say that. So I'm going to kind of explore that a little bit. And what you should be doing if you're short, you should be exploring how you make your world better as a short person. And I don't know what those answers are because I'm not short. Maybe you wear heels a lot. I don't know. But you basically take steps to make your going through life better given your shortcomings, as it were. And you do the same. So I need to do the same. I need to make sure I don't have chocolate in the house. And what I need to do is accept what I am and then structure my life around it, not just listen to people tell me you should be different.
Yep. I'm 1.9 meters tall, but I'm still very short, but that's another issue. And I would agree. Like, I want to bring an example. A friend of mine has some hormonal disease problems, which essentially she can't lose weight, and she puts on a lot of weight due to the sickness, right? And people see her and say, "Oh yeah, you're too fat, and you should eat less." And what they don't see is it's essentially a disease. Like she is trying, right? So same principle. I think the message here is we shouldn't judge people because we never know the full background of it. You don't know what's going on with the person. You only see basically result. Oh yeah, he's eating too much or she's eating too much, but you don't know the background. So
absolutely that.
Being helpful should be the question should be, are you all right? How can I help you? Maybe I have some insight that could help you. Or if not, you shouldn't feel bad about it. And I say the same stuff to people in the fitness center. You say as well. I always tell people, old folks, if you have too much weight and I see you in the fitness center, those are the people I respect most. Because they put in the extra step, and I have no idea, for example, if you're overweight, how that happened. I still applaud that you try to be a better version of yourself and deal with the problem. Maybe this helps, maybe not. Yeah. And I always tell them weight doesn't matter how much you lift or how long you're on the treadmill. You're still in the fitness center, and trying to do something about it. And that's like way more difficult than the jacked guy who looks like this because he took steroids since he was 11. Basically.
Or even worse, the jacked guy who just is naturally jacked. I mean, some guys just
those assholes.
Yeah,
and they just look like they look like that, and because they look like that, they end up on social media. They the same as, and again, it's like saying, Shaquille O'Neal, was a basketball player, so became 7 foot tall. No, he's 7 foot tall, so he played basketball. And the idea that doesn't. It is weird that we've kind of, we see people that look a certain way in other regards, height, for example, and we just accept that that's just something that they are either lucky or unlucky to. It's just happened to them. The same does happen with physique to a large extent. There is not a single Mr. Olympia who, if steroids didn't exist, would still look way better than most people. Some people just look fucking jacked. That's just how it's annoying, but that's just how they are. They then take steroids and become Mr. Olympia, but they'd look good anyway. So we've lost that slightly because it's just been clouded over by social media and nonsense.
And I think this goes for your mental health or mentality thing as well. Like everybody's different, and like genetically wise, I have no idea how it works. Like maybe my mind works differently regarding food than the next guy's. Like, so I cannot go out and judge him on it because it's just, this is the way we are, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe he's
absolutely.
better at math.
Yeah.
Like I'm really bad at math. I have no idea why. I cannot pull it off, basically.
Well,
okay, granted, I studied economics, which says something about the German educational system, but I'm really bad at it.
That's an interesting point because everyone has their strengths, and what's interesting is that we in society we kind of pick, and this changes over time as well. But we pick what we're going to value, and at the moment, it's how you. Quite literally, it's how you appear on social media. That's what we just value a lot at the moment, especially young people. And one of the things that I've kind of recognised as I've been here, and this is going to end up in the video as well. When people say to me, "You're eating badly, you're lazy, you've got no self-discipline," I say, "Well, hang on a minute. I have no self-discipline when it comes to food, but I must have some degree of self-discipline elsewhere because I make my living mucking about on my 10-acre property, driving a big-ass truck, and have plenty of money doing it. And the person telling me that I've got no self-discipline is working 9 to 5 for a boss they hate in a job that they dislike. But, oh, well done, you can avoid eating cake. Pat yourself on the back, you moron." So
that's going to be a great short.
There are different things that we value, and for me, I value. In fact, actually, I would rather the set of. I sound like Liam Neeson now. And taken. I have a set of skills. The set of skills I have allowed me to become what I've become in terms of what I do for life. And unfortunately, you can't have every skill. And the one I'm missing is don't go to the fridge constantly. I don't have that. But I have other skills that they're evident. They're evident because it's 4:00 in the afternoon. And I'm chatting to you guys. I'm not at a desk doing a job. So there are some skills at play. they're just not. The
We have to
skills
cut this
other
out.
people-
I think that was a jab at you, Alex. Hey, I'm a self-employed consultant. Yes.
I had this when people would talk about being gifted with regards to aesthetics and bodybuilding and stuff. A lot of people would say, "Oh, you're genetically gifted if you look like Mr. Olympia." I thought, hang on a minute, you can be genetically. Michael Jordan was genetically gifted, but could never have been a bodybuilder, so he's not genetically gifted in that way. Sort of skinny legs, but that doesn't stop him being the best basketball player of all time. So there's gifts. It is quite weird how everyone has gifts, and instead of just going, oh, these are the gifts I've got. How can I maximize those? They instead look at the gifts that are valued in society and think, well, how do I maximize those, even though for them they might not be a gift they've been given? So, at the moment we value aesthetics and looking like a bodybuilder. If you haven't been handed that through luck, then don't bother chasing it to any great extent. Instead, go and look at what you have got. It is weird. It's like, do you have that game Top Trumps where you have different scores for? Is that a thing you even have in Germany? Top Trumps. Your faces tell me no.
Just the guy from the States. Otherwise, no.
Okay, right. So Top Trumps is a thing where when you're kids, you'd have a category of things like maybe cars or aeroplanes.
Okay, got it. Yeah, we have it.
Yeah, we have this.
Yeah. And each car has like whatever 10 for power, but maybe 2 for handling or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. That we are all our own top trump, and we all have different scores. So for me, when it comes to basically creating the job you want, working for yourself in the middle of nowhere and loving it, I score 10. When it comes to not eating too much chocolate, I score 2. And so I just have to kind of make do with that and understand where I'm lacking and do what I can about it rather than getting too bogged down in it. What people tend to get hung up on lately is well, hang on a minute, I haven't got 9 in the big chest muscles department, so my life's over. What are you talking about? You got other scores. What can you do? So yeah, there you go. We are all our own top trumps.
For the record, Rittersport marzipan bars are the best. Just saying. Alex, you should ask a question. Otherwise, it's just Mark talking.
Going back to the beginning of your monologue, I still would like to see a mug or a T-shirt with the big fat willpower problem printed on it. This would be really funny in the office or in the streets.
There you go.
The big fat willpower problem came to, sometimes the title of a video comes to me before the video. Like I know what I want to talk about. I like the idea of people saying you're weak and useless because of this one thing you can't do and ignoring the other things you can do. I like that. And then I came up with the willpower problem. And then in my head I had the that emoji, the brain exploding emoji.
Yes.
Right. So my thumbnail for this video, which I haven't even written the video yet, but I've already got the thumbnail. The thumbnail is my head, but the top half of my head will be the exploding brain emoji, and then the big fat willpower problem is just a great line. So I have that. Will it end up on a T-shirt? I don't know, but it will be on a thumbnail.
Regarding your projects, you talked about that you are filming the projects for the Lewis Live channel.
Yeah.
Do you always plan to go out and record what you do, or is it just, we have to clean up the woods and take the camera with you, or is it pre-planned what you're doing? Because the scenes look very consistent, and I don't know how to do this without proper planning of the recording.
Yeah, no, it's good question. When we first started here, it was literally take the GoPro out every time we went out, and we sort of thought that will work, and we'll just sort of gather content. And all that happened was we just gathered hundreds of hours of time lapse of us doing stuff, but that isn't a story. And I one of the reasons I enjoy YouTube long form content is because I like to try and tell a story, and just 3 hours of time lapse of me cutting a hedge isn't that. So we've changed it a bit over time, and now we do structure and plan what we need to do. In simple terms, we have some projects where we've been given a piece of kit. And so and the deal with that is, somebody will say to us, you can have this cool machine for 6 months, but the deal is make some content with it, please. So sometimes we have obligations to not sponsors so much, but certainly people that have helped us out. So that forms some of what we need to do. That obviously overlaps with stuff we need to do anyway. And then there's stuff that's just not stuff that we need to do, but we know would just be fun to make a video about. And we sit down regularly 2 or 3 times a week and think of those. What do we have to get done? What do we need to get done? What can we fit in? And then we plan. So, for example, this week we're making a video with my little micro digger, my little Chinese digger, but I'm using the dumbbells in the gym to see how much weight it can lift. That's clearly not a project we need to do. It's just a fun, stupid thing for YouTube.
Life old question, right? It's like, how easily can you tip it over?
Yeah, well, indeed. I mean, actually, the question, how strong is it, is a valid question.
Yeah, and like I said, it's finally some good tips in the video.
Yes, doing it with dumbbells is just a kind of a crossover with the fitness chart side, I guess. So there's that video, but also we've got some woodland area that still needs clearing, and we have a deal with a company that gave us some chainsaws. So we're going to use those chainsaws to clear the wood and kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone and make that video as well. So yeah, and it is a full-time job. I mean, we are every single day thinking, what needs to get done for us, what needs to get done for people that are working with us and helping us, where's the overlap, what needs to be done on the fitness channel so that doesn't get forgotten about. And those are the big projects, the big long form projects. But then the short form stuff, Jen's Instagram is a thing that requires daily content on, because that's how Instagram works. So yeah, it's a juggle. It's a real juggling act. We're kind of spinning a lot of plates. It would be lovely to only do one thing, just do Instagram or just do one YouTube channel. But the nice thing about doing lots of things is it gives us a steady, I was going to say a steady income stream from them all. It's not, I mean, it does, but it's not just that. It's also, it gives us a steady sense of success, because it's very easy to put out a video that does badly and feel lousy about it. I mean, I would sometimes, I'd put a huge amount of effort into a YouTube video, it would do badly, and I'm sad for a month. The nice thing about what we're doing now is I don't have time to do that. We put out a bit of content, no one watches it, forget it, because tomorrow there's a new bit of content on a different platform, and that one goes off and does 10 million views. So it's evened out the ups and downs of social media, because it is very easy with social media to get sucked into chasing numbers and looking at how things do. And we don't do much of that anymore. We make content, we throw it out. We're not oblivious to it. If something does 10 million views versus 100,000, we're aware of that, if only to try and replicate it the following week. We do a lot of that now. But it is nice to know that at any one time, there'll always have been something in the recent past that's done well, and there'll be something that did badly. And it gives us a nice sort of level feeling about how we're doing, as opposed to thinking, it's a terrible week because that one thing didn't do very well. I can't even remember what we did 3 days ago, let alone last week.
Also, as you know, you never know. Like, we have the same experience with us. You never know what goes down well or what doesn't go down well. Basically, it's like, we literally for our basically range, we literally had the Ukrainian podcast, so to speak, and that guy essentially shared it apparently in his WhatsApp group or Telegram group, and essentially half of the Ukrainian army saw it and clicked on it within, I don't know, 5 minutes. And I was thinking, what the hell is this? Basically, because you just don't know what will happen, basically.
No, I mean, and you don't. And a huge amount of it is luck. It's a little bit like, it sounds very pretentious, but creating content is an art. I mean, whether you kind of like that art or not, it's artistic. And like any artistic endeavor, it needs to have merit. I mean, it's very unusual. Excuse me. It's very unusual for something to do well that had no obvious merit. And it's sometimes easy for people to go, oh, well, here's an example that that dancing idiot on TikTok's got no merit. Well, yeah, it's easier to look at that as a 52-year-old kind of white British guy and not see why whatever 13-year-old girls in America might love it. But that's been too narrow-minded. If it appeals to a large group of people, there's something good about it. Like it or not, that just is the case. It just might not be your cup of tea. So it needs to have merit, but then you need to be lucky. Because I've put out lots of content that I know is as good as other things I've done that have done well, and it doesn't. But I've never, ever put out content that I knew was shit and it did well. That's never happened to me, ever. Every time I've often put something up and thought, this is going to go viral, and it doesn't. That happens all the time. But 9 times out of 10, if something does really well, I knew it could have done really well. So luck then dictates whether it does or it doesn't. But yeah, I've never put up something shit and it's just done great. That's never happened. So people that think just keep plugging away, just keep at it, keep throwing shit against the wall, something will stick.
Nah.
No, it won't. If you keep throwing shit against the wall, you just get a shitty wall. That's all that happens. You've got to keep putting out good content and annoyingly accept that a ton of it won't stick. But it's got to be good. I mean, it annoys me that sometimes we'll spend an hour filming one of Jen's reels that lasts for 15 seconds and no one watches it. But it doesn't matter because eventually something will just pop off and it will do millions.
I'll do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn basically, and that's what I tell people always is it's not you, stick to the program. It can be you, like maybe there's an issue with it, but it's not necessarily you. Basically, yes. There is some, like, you'll never fully understand the algorithm as well. And maybe you just hit the right timing and the right people saw it. For example, on LinkedIn, I literally had posts where some I go full circle here, job agency from Africa saw it, and they had like 5 million followers. And that went completely, I was going to say bananas, I should rephrase, that completely went viral. I'm giving a nice German impression here, I guess. Viral. And so you never know.
Another question regarding your project planning, because I find this quite interesting. Does it help you with your real life projects, I call them, that you have to structure your social media content? Because I know for myself, when I look at the project I should be doing at our house, at my home, in the garden, I feel no pressure because the heating is working and everything's fine, and I simply just don't want to. But if you say, oh, we have to clean the wood, we have to test the chipper, then there's some kind of pressure that you have to finish the project.
There is a little bit, but not as much as you'd think. It may just be at the moment. This might change over time, but right now, the projects that for example, if we took away social media, I guess this is the question. If we took away social media, would we still be doing the things we're doing anyway? And I think we probably would be. I mean, at the moment, the projects we're doing inside the house, renovating the kitchen, that's all being filmed. That would be a project we'd be keen to be doing anyway. It also ties in with me eating properly because the kitchen being disrupted doesn't help my eating issues. I don't think there's anything. The only things that we wouldn't be doing are the kind of fun, stupid stuff. That we wouldn't really be tying dumbbells to the digger and seeing how much it can lift. But anything where we're kind of doing projects, maybe. I mean, there are. Yeah, I mean, actually, maybe there are some stupid things we've done that we probably would do anyway, just because they're fun to do. And we're going to build some. We're going to be building some. Well, here's an example. Actually, we have a stream that we have to get some wood chips across. And so when we do that, we're going to rig up like a pulley system and swing them over the river. And it's all going to look very cool on YouTube. But we'd probably be doing that anyway, even though it looks like it's just done for the cameras. So a lot of the stupid stuff is real in that sense. So no, I don't think so. I think I quite like. I mean, this is where I'm incredibly lucky with how my life has turned out thus far, because everything that I'm doing is stuff that I really do need to be doing anyway and want to be doing. Sometimes I get frustrated that I do need to grab a GoPro and set that up before I do it. But then I kind of remind myself, hang on a minute, if the most frustrating part of my work day is having to point a GoPro at me doing what I want to do anyway for myself, compared to most people with regular jobs, that's not that bad a thing to have to do. I'm filming myself doing literally what I want to be doing. Sometimes this morning I was riding my quad across my field just because I wanted to. And I was thinking, I should have brought the GoPro. And I was kind of frustrated I didn't have the GoPro. I thought, so annoying, this social media rubbish. And I had to kind of remind myself that, no, it's 9:30 in the morning and I'm just riding a quad around my field. That, as working days go, that's pretty cool. So no, we're very lucky. And it never used to be the case with a fitness channel in the past. An awful lot of it was stuff that I wouldn't have been doing unless it was for social media. I would have been keeping fit, but it wouldn't have been the kind of contrived, cliched, eat 10,000 calories before breakfast. Yeah, all that rubbish. I wouldn't have been doing that, obviously, because it's dumb, if it weren't for YouTube. Whereas now the downside, of course, is that rubbish does get views. So if I was short of money, I'd go and make I ate 10,000 calories video, and because I know
you could say my pig ate 10,000 calories a day.
Yeah, well, I suppose I could compete against my pig. Maybe
the winner gets to eat the loser. Yeah,
actually, do you know what? See, now you got me thinking. Like, what animal could I out eat? Because I could definitely out eat a chicken. Yeah, you put a cake in front of me and a chicken. The chicken's pecking away at that cake, but I'm crushing the chicken, not literally like the dog did, but I'm beating it. The goat, I'm not sure. The pig obviously is winning. So me v animals. No, most of the jobs I'm doing, they're jobs I want to do. They're jobs I like doing. I'm very privileged.
So I will close it up at this point and say thank you so much for being here, Mark. It was
thank you for having me again.
Having you on. I think it was a very nice, semi-controversial podcast, but also with a lot of I think positive, not so much at the start, but at the end positive outlook for people who watch.
Was it controversial? I don't. Did we say anything? I can't remember what we said.
I think no, not really. Not for my level.
No, I think because I'm very acutely aware of having said that. I don't care what anybody else does. Yeah. So again, it's quite a hard position to argue against because do what you like.
Yeah, I think that's the 100% correct. A lot of people should view it like this. Like maybe don't consider so much what other people think of you when you do something. Maybe the first thing is basically think about, does it make you happy? Doesn't it make you happy? Don't try to please other people. First, try to please yourself, ideally, but not ruining other people's lives. But
absolutely, exactly that. Yeah, if you're hurting no one else, then
like the dog,
then do what you like. Yes. Indeed.
Basically,
yeah.
We should basically leave it like this. Alex, you want to add something?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Last thing I will say, obviously, every relevant link will be in the description. Links to Mark's channels, both of them, basically, right? So he's findable. And thank you so much for listening in, tuning in, guys. And we'll see you next podcast.